Hi everyone, my name is Steve Lillyston and you're tuned to our library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by the lovely folks from the libraries all around Wairarapa to let you know about some of the new books, programs and services and so on that are coming into the library in the coming months. Our library is being broadcast to you today on Arrow 92.7 FM, your community access radio channel, and Wairarapa TV on Freeview channel 41. This program is broadcast live on the third Friday of each month at 2:30 and repeated on the fourth Friday again at 2:30. So let's get started. All right, so first up I'd like to go through some of the fiction being introduced into the libraries in the coming months, and this is all across Wairarapa, and there's such an incredible variety of fiction. I can only address some of them. There are hundreds, nearly thousands of books being brought into the libraries each month. So this is just a smattering of those books. First up is 23 and a Half Lies. This is by James Patterson, a well-known author. So Lindsay Boxer's estranged father is gunned down execution style, and her investigation uncovers life-altering truths. Fallen Ranger. To Rory Yates, being a Texas Ranger means absolute loyalty to the badge. But he's put through the ultimate test when an armoured car robbery suspect might be an ex-Ranger gone rogue. Watch Your Back. When a starving artist is paid to expose his client's cheating wife, can he paint the picture that will save his own life? So this an interesting book by James Patterson. It seems to be a set of short stories, very interesting. So James Patterson is a 73-year-old author and philanthropist who lives in Florida. He's a very prolific writer. Amongst his works are the Alex Cross, Michael Bennett, Women's Murder Club, Maximum Ride, Daniel X, NYPD Red, Witch and Wizard, and Private series, as well as many standalone thrillers, non-fiction and romance novels. He's collaborated on a number of novels with a number of other writers as well. So interesting, a lot of personalities he's worked with, Dolly Parton and Clinton, President Clinton. Anyway, so he's done a number of novels like that. Interesting character. So that's 23 and a Half Lies by James Patterson. Next up is another very popular writer. This is The Armour of Light by Ken Follett, the latest of Ken Follett's novels. So revolution is in the air. 1792. A tyrannical government is determined to make England a mighty commercial empire. In France, Napoleon Bonaparte begins his rise to power, and with dissent rife, France's neighbours are on high alert. Kingsbridge is on the edge. Unprecedented industrial change sweeps the land, making the lives of the workers in Kingsbridge's prosperous cloth mills a misery. Rampant modernisation and dangerous new machinery are rendering jobs obsolete and tearing families apart. Tyranny is on the horizon. Now, as international conflict nears, a story of a small group of Kingsbridge people will come to define the struggle of a generation as they seek enlightenment and fight for a future free from oppression. So this is the latest in a series of novels by Ken Follett about the Kingsbridge group. Lovely writer. I've read a lot of his stuff. He's a lovely writer, but he tends to write really huge tomes. Maybe that's my perception, but he's a lovely writer. So Kenneth Martin Follett, CBE, FRSL, is a 74-year-old Welsh author of thrillers and historical novels who sold more than 160 million copies of his works. Many of his books have achieved high ranking on bestseller lists. So that's The Armour of Light, the latest novel by Ken Follett. Next up is Dead on Target. And this is by M.C. Beaton. A visit to the local village fete for a spot of fun and relaxation turns into a nightmare for Agatha Raisin when she discovers the body of the local landowner in the woods, with an arrow in his chest and trousers round his ankles. Agatha's old adversary, Detective Chief Inspector Wilkes, declares the death a tragic accident, believing the victim has been hit by a stray arrow from an archery demonstration. Agatha is convinced of foul play, however, and is shocked when Wilkes eventually agrees with her as his prime murder suspect. Determined to clear her name and find the real killer, Agatha launches her own investigation, quickly becoming involved with a family at war, an unscrupulous gangster, and a killer who is determined to make her the next victim. There you go. That's a nice little thriller. That's Dead on Target by M.C. Beaton. Now, M.C. Beaton, that's Marion Chesney Gibbons, is her real name. So she is, what is she, 83 years old? Well, she was 83. She passed in 2019. Was a Scottish writer of romance and mystery novels, whose career as a published author began in 1979. She wrote numerous successful historical romance novels under a form of her maiden name, Marion Chesney, including The Travelling Matchmaker and Daughters of Mannerling. So that's one that they have brought back in. I don't know whether the book was there in the past, but that's either a reprint, I assume it's a reprint, of Dead on Target by M.C. Beaton. Interesting. Yeah. Next up is The Exchange, and this is by John Grisham, yet another very popular author. What became of Mitch and Abby McDear after they exposed the crimes of Memphis law firm Bendini, Lambert and Locke, and fled the country? The answer is in The Exchange, the riveting sequel to The Firm. It is now 15 years later, and Mitch and Abby are living in Manhattan, where Mitch is a partner at the largest law firm in the world. When a mentor in Rome asks him for a favour that will take him far from home, Mitch finds himself at the centre of a sinister plot that has worldwide implications, and once again endangers his colleagues, friends and family. So that's The Exchange by John Grisham. I've read many of John Grisham's books, 15 or 20, I've lost count. So he's a 68-year-old American novelist, lawyer and former member of the Mississippi House of Representatives, known for his best-selling legal thrillers. And they all have a bit of a legal slant to them, most of them. He's written some oddball ones as well. Playing for Pizza is one that I loved of his, and he's a sports fanatic as well as being an author and so on. And he wrote one about a retired American football player going to Italy and playing for pizza. So yeah, he writes a lot of books about the law, legal issues, but he does sometimes spread into other areas as well. So that's The Exchange by John Grisham. Next up is Geneva. This is by Richard Armitage. Nobel Prize-winning scientist Sarah Collier has started to show the same telltale signs of Alzheimer's disease as her father: memory loss, even blackouts. So she's reluctant to accept the invitation to be the guest of honour at a prestigious biotech conference, until her husband Daniel, a neuroscientist, persuades her that the publicity storm will be worth it. The technology being unveiled at this conference could revolutionise medicine forever. More than that, it could save Sarah's life. In Geneva, the couple are fated as stars, at least Sarah is, but behind the five-star luxury, investors are circling. Controversial blogger Terry Landau is all over the story, and Sarah's symptoms are getting worse. As events begin to spiral out of control, Sarah can't be sure who to trust, including herself. So that's Geneva by Richard Armitage. Now, Richard Crispin Armitage is a 52-year-old English actor and author. He received recognition in the UK with his first leading role as John Thornton in the British television programme North and South. So, a bit of interesting background on Richard Armitage, and that was Geneva by Richard Armitage. Next up is Light Keeping. This is by Adrienne Jansen. The beam of a lighthouse, bringing hope, knowledge, and safety in dark and uncertain places. But what if the lighthouse keeper himself is lost? In 1977, in the shelter of a remote Aotearoa lighthouse, Annie wraps her arms around her two orphaned grandchildren. Her husband, Bill, the keeper, shares old stories of the sea, sailors, and the son he has lost. Broken himself, but doing what he can to help the children navigate their new lives. But how secure can they all be, with the looming threat of lighthouse closures and automation? 40 years later, those grandchildren are adrift again, disconnected from each other and the lighthouse home that once anchored them. Buffeted by life, Jess and Robert find themselves drawn back towards the past, their grandfather's stories and the world of the sea. So that's a bit different. Light Keeping by Adrienne Jansen. Adrienne Jansen is a 76-year-old New Zealand creative writing teacher, editor, and a writer of fiction, non-fiction, and poetry. She's worked closely with immigrants, and her writing often relates to the migrant experience. So that's Light Keeping by Adrienne Jansen. This is an interesting one. This is Mr. Einstein's Secretary by Matthew Riley. All Hannah Fisher ever wanted to do was to study physics under the great Albert Einstein. But when, as a teenager in 1919, her life is suddenly turned upside down, she is catapulted into a new and extraordinary life as a secretary, a scientist, a sister, and a spy. From racist gangs in Berlin to gangsters in New York City, Nazis in the 1930s, and Hitler's inner circle during the Second World War, Hannah will encounter some of history's greatest minds and most terrible moments, all while desperately trying to stay alive. She is a unique secretary, and she will work for many bosses, from shrewd businessmen to vile Nazis, to the greatest boss of them all, Mr. Albert Einstein. Spanning 40 years, this is the thrilling tale of a young woman propelled through history's most dangerous times. But read it carefully, because all may not be as it seems. So that's Mr. Einstein's Secretary by Matthew Riley. Matthew John Riley is a 49-year-old internationally best-selling Australian action thriller writer. That's about all I could find out about Matthew Riley. But anyway, but that sounds a fascinating book. I like the idea of that. Mr. Einstein's Secretary by Matthew Riley. This one is Someone You Trust, and this is by Rachel Ryan. Amy jumps at the opportunity when she's offered a nannying job in picturesque West Cork, Ireland. The assignment is for the friendly and welcoming Carroll family, whose stunning house is situated on a stretch of remote and rugged coastline overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. It's the perfect chance for Amy to escape the suffocating city and the man who made her life hell. With two adorable children to oversee, a pair of generous employers, and more freedom than she's enjoyed in years, everything seems wonderful. So why can't Amy shake a creeping sense of unease? Perhaps it's the husband's erratic behaviour, or the fact that she was never told about the reclusive teenage son whose bedroom is next to hers. Or maybe it's the strange messages that somebody has been painting around the local village. Quickly it becomes clear that all is not well in the Carroll marriage, nor in their idyllic rural community. Whispered secrets and strange occurrences fill the breathtaking scenery with menace, and as the days pass, Amy learns that the refuge she has sought just might be the most dangerous place of all. So that's Someone You Trust by Rachel Ryan. Rachel Ryan is an Irish author, and that's about all I could find out. So I've looked everywhere for information about Rachel Ryan, but I saw a picture of her and she seems young, but that's all I can tell you. I can't tell you what other books she's read. I can't find any details about her. But anyway, it did seem like an interesting book, and I thought it worth a mention. It may even be her first novel, I'm not sure. But I love all Irish writers anyway, so that could be a good book. I've put that on my list. That's Someone You Trust by Rachel Ryan. Alrighty, so at this point I think I'll take a small music break, and when we come back I'll let you know about some of the programs and services available at all libraries in Wairarapa, and then we could talk about some of the non-fiction books that are available, and so on. So I'll just have a little bit of music, and I'll be back shortly. Hi, welcome back. Or if you've just tuned in, my name is Steve Lillyston and this is our library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by the lovely folk from the libraries all around Wairarapa to let you know about some of the many, many new books being introduced into the libraries in the coming months, and also to talk about some of the programs and services that you may not be aware of that are available at all the libraries as well. Just before the music break, I covered some of the fiction being introduced into the library. And again, just bear in mind that there are thousands of books being introduced into the libraries in every month. Hundreds at least, anyway. All right, so at this point, I'd like to talk about some of the programs and services that are on offer at your library. Now, first off, this is common to all the libraries. And just bear in mind there are two groups of libraries. There's the Marston Library, and there's also the South Wairarapa Library Service, which is Carterton, Greytown, Featherston and Martinborough. So there are two distinct groups of libraries. Now, common to all libraries, there are no more overdue charges anymore. You may not be aware of that, so there are no penalty fines anymore. And all Wairarapa libraries offer access through their library app. Access through Google or Apple Play stores. You can download it from there. The app lets you reserve and renew items and see what new stock is coming in. What's really cool is you can use it to scan an ISBN on any item, the barcode on the back of a book, for example, and it'll search the library catalogue and let you know if it's there anywhere in the library system. If it does and you want it, you can reserve it at that point. Now, Digital Seniors. There's a program that's run regularly with on-site sessions at all libraries. Free help for those more involved with technical questions. So each library has a different time which you can find out from the library. Contact your local library and find out the times there. Now, Skinny Jump. This is to enable access to broadband for as little as $5 a month, which is pretty good value. So whether you're a pensioner, have a family, or just someone struggling to afford an internet connection, because they can be pricey, contact your friendly librarian for more details. That's all libraries. Now, if you need a JP, a Justice of the Peace, to sign documents or witness or whatever, they're available at all the libraries. So just contact your local library and they will be able to help you with times and places of where to find a JP at the library. If you don't have time to visit or just want to browse and borrow from the comfort of your home, you can download Libby. Now that's an app you put on your phone, and you can use it to search the library. They've got over 40,000 titles to choose from in the form of digital books, audio books and magazines. So if you're not sure how to download Libby, just talk to your friendly librarians and they will show you how to do that. Come into the library at any time, browse. There's something for everyone. Not just new books on display, they have all sorts of things you wouldn't believe. Audio books, magazines, games, posters, all sorts of things. Now, specific to the Masterton Library, there's a number of programs here. The Gathering, and that's a conversation group where you can simply meet others and chat, share, make connections. And it's just a social gathering group. It's called The Gathering. And that's every Monday from 1 till 2. Another program called Sit, Knit and Yarn. That's Fridays from 10 till 12. And that's an opportunity if you're craftily in, if you're into the crafts, if you're not crafty, if you're into the crafts, and that's for you to share ideas, skills, help each other with projects and so on. Members knit for donation, most notably for newborns at Marston Maternity, as well as working on their own projects for family and friends. And it's all free. All these programs are free. The majority of these programs are free. Another program is the Family Story Time. That's every Saturday from 10:30 to 11. Bring the kiddies along and read stories. It's fun. Beamer Film. Now, Beamer Film is a new streaming service available to holders of a Marston Library card, which is free. So this is all free. Download the app to your device, set up an account using your Marston Library account number, and you can watch a variety of movies and TV series, all for free. You can even borrow a ukulele for 2 weeks. You get a ukulele, a chord book, and a handy carry case, if that's your thing. Join us at the library for a fun family evening of board games and pizza. This is what they're saying at the Marston Library. Library Got Game occurs on the second Thursday of the month at the Marston Library from 5 till 6:30 p.m. They'll have board games set up and ready for you to come and play as a family or a group of friends. Yep, they've got games. Better Digital Futures. Now that's for seniors seeking help in going online. Participants join classes to learn new skills and build confidence using computers, smartphones, etc. These are digital pathway courses. Register and attend all 5 in the series. The classes are free, again, and are at the Marston Library Wednesdays from 3:30 to 5:30. So that's Marston Library, some of the programs. Now the Wairarapa Library Service, they have their own set of programs. First up is the Evening Book Club, and that meets on the first Wednesday of every month online. That's a Zoom session at 7 o'clock every Wednesday. Get the details from the library. You just click on the invite and join a Zoom session. Chat about the book you've just read. You get assigned a book every month. You get to read it for that month, and then you go online 7 o'clock every Wednesday and have a chat about it. It's very interesting to get other people's viewpoints on the book. Yeah, it's an interesting little group. That's the Evening Book Club. Now the Morning Book Club, that meets on the last Wednesday of every month at Carterton Courthouse for a friendly cuppa, book recommendations and friendship. There's no format to this. It's simply a get-together of people who enjoy reading, and you can talk about books that you've read, reading, and you can listen to other people's books that they're reading, what they think of them, get ideas, recommendations, and so on. It's a lot of fun. Wairarapa, and that's ages 0 to 5. Story time for preschoolers. Includes stories, music, singing, movement, and rhymes. That's from 10 till 10:30, but held on different days for each library. So check your library for details. There are Brick Club sessions for older children. These are held every week at all 4 libraries. Check the Wairarapa Library Service website for session days and times. Lego-style bricks are provided for hands-on fun with a different theme or challenge every week. So lots of programs at all the libraries. We're specifically looking now at the Wairarapa Library Service and what programs are available there. Now, if you're stuck at home, if you're homebound, sign up for the library's free HomeLink service. And that's every 3 weeks they drop up to a dozen hand-picked books and take back the ones that you need returning. It's a great little service. Check out Fancy and Easy Self-Issuing. Instead of those big machines you often see in libraries, WLS, that's Wairarapa Library Service, uses its phone app to self-issue items. It means you can easily browse the library, grab a book, magazine, just scan it with your phone to issue it to yourself. There's also a new chat feature on the website. You can ask questions and get answers in real time. A new idea that the Wairarapa Library Service have is the Wairarapa Library Service Story Walk. Story Walk. And that's located in Martinborough at the top of Considine Park on the corner of Kitchener and Princess Streets. and winds through to the Vintner Lane exit. It's a fabulous way to enjoy a children's story while walking, hopping, skipping, or jumping along the path. The walk takes 15 to 20 minutes and is the perfect addition to a family picnic or children's birthday celebration. The stories change throughout the year, so this is an activity to return to. Perfect for ages 3 to 8 and the young at heart. Take a pic, tag us with hashtag WLS Storywalk and go into the draw to win spot prizes. Free and available at any time with no bookings required. So that sounds like fun for you and the family. And now the community law outreach clinics. At each of the libraries, there are different times at each of the libraries. Contact your library for details. You can go along and get some free legal advice. Very useful. Also at the Wairarapa Library Service, there just bear in mind the new interim opening hours, effective 21st of August. All libraries in Wairarapa, South Wairarapa Library Service, now open every Saturday, 9:30 till noon. Featherstone Library is only closed every Wednesday. Greytown and Martinborough Library is closed every Thursday. And Carterton Library opening hours are unchanged, i.e. Monday to Friday, 9:30 till 5, and then Saturday, 9:30 till 1. Now there's a new group. This is the Martinborough Book Club. They meet every third Wednesday of the month from 10 till 12 at the library. Unleash your love for literature. Bring along what you're currently reading to share with others. Share the joy of reading without limitations. Connect with other book enthusiasts and engage in thought-provoking conversations about your current literary adventures. So very similar to the Morning Book Club in Carterton, but this one's in Martinborough. A lot of big readers in Martinborough. There are a lot of book groups in Martinborough, as there are throughout the Wairarapa. Now, Christmas is only a few weeks away. If you're stuck for Prezi ideas and like the idea of a sustainable gift giving, why not come along to a Divine River workshop at your nearest library? Previous workshops on making candles, scented bath salts and natural lip balms have been very popular. The next series of workshops will show you how to make aromatic face spritzers, ideal for a refreshing pick-me-up on hot days ahead. Held every Wednesday, these hands-on workshops are free and materials will be provided. Please check the WLS website for venue and session details. Now, are you a fan of short stories? Do you tend to dismiss them in favour of full-length novels? A well-crafted short story is a thing of beauty. Read any of Roald Dahl's wicked tales for adults and you'll see what I mean. Closer to home, we're lucky to have our own award-winning short story writers, Jack Ramil Cottrell and Anthony Lapwood. Spend the day in Carterton on Thursday, the 7th of December. They will host a writing workshop for adults at 2:30 at the Carterton Events Centre. This is followed by book signing and reading session at Almo's Books on the High Street in Carterton at 6 p.m. Registration details on the Wairarapa Library website. Now, whether you're an established writer or just starting your writing journey, it helps to get together with other writers for support and inspiration. Right Now Wairarapa is a new writing group, a community of writers which meet at the Carterton Library the first Wednesday of the month from 1 till 1:30 and on the third Saturday from 10 till 12, where author Pia Buck, pen name Melissa Crosby, is based to discuss their work and refine their craft. The first meeting is this Saturday, November 18th, that's tomorrow, and new members are welcome. For more information and to register, please go to the Wairarapa Library Services website. Christmas and New Year hours. All South Wairarapa libraries will close at noon on Friday the 22nd of December and reopen at 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday the 3rd of January. So don't get caught out having nothing to read over Christmas and New Year. It's a fate worse than death. I did it once and it took me ages to recover. So you've got plenty of time now to get yourself organised for Christmas. Get your books organised so you've got something to read over that period. All right, so now common to all Wairarapa libraries, there are so many programs, I didn't really have time to cover them all, but that's a smattering, believe it or not, of the programs available. So on a constant basis, check with your library, see what's going on, check the Facebook page, check the website, and don't be afraid to quiz your librarians. They're there to help you. They're not the ogres of days gone by. They're actually lovely people, know lots about books and all sorts of things. So just if you need any help at all on anything, they'll be able to help you, believe me. They can at least point you in the right direction. All right, so that's all I've got for the moment. I think we'll have another quick music break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some of the non-fiction that's being introduced into the libraries in the coming months. So bear with me, and I'll come back soon.
When the sound of her language
Welcome back. Or if you've just tuned in, my name is Steve Lillyston and you're tuned into our library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by the lovely folk from the libraries all around Wairarapa, to let you know that some of the new books and programs and services and so on being introduced into the libraries in the coming months. In the first part of the program, I talked about some of the fiction being introduced into the libraries in the coming months, and I've also talked about some of the programs and services excuse me, also available at all the libraries. Excuse me. Now, this part I'd like to talk about some of the non-fiction being introduced into all the libraries around Wairarapa. First up is Behind the Shoulder Pads, Tales I Tell My Friends, and this is by Joan Collins, a name you might be familiar. Dame Joan Collins has always believed one should retain some mystery in life and hide a knowing smile behind one's shoulder pads. In her new book, she returns in dazzling form to share her most memorable moments from her eclectic and vibrant life in and out of the limelight, taking us on a spectacular journey from her early years as a young star in the golden era of Hollywood to stamping her stilettos in Dynasty, from the glittering heights of Saint-Tropez to the busy Oscar season in LA over the years. Joan writes movingly about her grief and adventures with her sister Jackie, delving deeper into the ups and downs of love and relationships and her happiness with husband Percy. Filled with a cast of household names including the late Queen Elizabeth, Diana, Princess of Wales, Elizabeth Taylor, Michael Caine, Warren Beatty, and many more. Behind the Shoulder Pads is a spectacularly entertaining tour de force, bound to delight and shock in equal measures. Hilarious, intimate, and completely spellbinding, Joan invites you into her life like never before, sharing the stories she had previously reserved for her closest of friends. So that's Behind the Shoulder Pads, Tales I Tell My Friends by Joan Collins. There's a book. I've got this one on my list. This is Unruly. It's a history of England's kings and queens by David Mitchell. You might know the name David Mitchell. He's on QI and he's done various things. He's a comedian, lovely man, a lot of fun. And this book sounds fascinating. This will be the most refreshing, entertaining history of England you will ever read, say the publishers. Certainly the funniest, because David Mitchell will explain how it is not all names, dates or ungraspable historical headwinds, but instead show how it's really just a bunch of random stuff that happened with a few lucky... naughty word. Didn't see the naughty word. With a few nasty, lucky people ending up on top. Some of these nasty people were quite strange, but they were in charge, so we literally lived, and often still live, by their rules. It's a great story, and it's our story. Well, it's a British story, really. If you want to know who we are in modern Britain, you need to read this book. So it's very Britain-centric, of course, Kings and Queens of Britain. It's called Unruly, A History of England's Kings and Queens by David Mitchell. That went straight to my list, and I'm dying to read it. I have a love of history anyway, and David Mitchell is very funny, so I'm looking forward to that. Next up is Opinions, A Decade of Arguments, Criticisms and Minding Other People's Business by Roxane Gay. Since the publication of her groundbreaking books, Bad Feminist and Hunger, Roxane Gay has continued to tackle big issues embroiling society: state-sponsored violence and mass shootings, women's rights, post-Dobbs, online disinformation and the limits of empathy, alongside more individually personal matters. Can I tell my co-worker her perfume makes me sneeze? Is it acceptable to schedule a daily 8 a.m. meeting? In her role as a New York Times opinion section contributor and the publication's work friend columnist, she reaches millions of readers with her wise voice and sharp insights. Bold, funny, sharp, humane. Opinions is a collection of Roxane Gay's best non-fiction pieces from the past 10 years. covering a wide range of topics: politics, feminism, the culture wars, civil rights, and much more, with an all-new introduction in which she reflects on the past decade. This sharp, thought-provoking anthology will delight Roxane Gay's devotees and draw new readers to this inimitable talent. Sounds really fun and interesting. Opinions, that's by Roxane Gay. And now this one, very topical, or topical looming. Sewing for Christmas. 30 Gorgeous Projects for the Festive Season by Nathan Crombie. What says Christmas better than a handmade decoration or hanging up a stocking you have created yourself? This book has 30 sewing projects to get you in a festive mood. However you celebrate Christmas and whatever your family traditions, there is something for everyone. Tree decorations, tiny advent calendar stockings, a garland, cosy slippers, table runners, teddies, a wreath, scandy pillow, hanging decoration. This collection of homemade sewing gifts taken from the best-selling Love to Sew series is perfect to decorate your home, give as gifts, or make with the children in the holidays. With a techniques section complemented by instructions and photographs for each project, you have everything you need to get going. Full-size templates are provided in a handy pocket containing 2 fold-out sheets. Now, if you've just tuned in, my name is Steve Lillyston and you're listening to Our Library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by all the libraries from around Wairarapa to let you know about some of the new books, programs, services and so on being introduced into the libraries in the coming months. Now, earlier in the program I talked about some of the new fiction coming in. I've talked about some of the programs and services. I've just talked about some of the non-fiction. Now, just to cap it off, I'd like to talk about some of the books that I've been reading which you might find interesting. So in the past month, I've read 3 novels, which is a bit light for me. I generally read sort of 4 or 5. But the 3 novels I read, the first one was The Fire and the Rose. This is by Robin Cadwallader. And that was set in 1278. It's the story of a woman who wants to be a scribe when only men had that occupation, and most women couldn't even read or write. Also to do with the eviction of the Jews from England at that time. It focuses very heavily on that. And it was a fascinating read. It was a bit slow, but interesting and thoroughly enjoyable. The fact that the Jews in England were thrown out of England, I think like 3 times. But this is the big one under Edward I, 1278. Fascinating read. And also multicultural relationships. Fascinating. That's The Fire and the Rose by Robin Cadwallader. Pet. I read Pet by Catherine Chidgey. The story, she's a teacher's pet. In fact, all the children in the class want to be teacher's pet. But there's something very strange about her, the teacher in question. A lovely book, Catherine Chidgey, she's a Kiwi, and she's written a lot of fabulous books. She's very, very popular. I think the last time I looked, there was a waiting list of like 58 people to read this book. So she's very popular, and that's her latest book, I believe. That's Pet by Catherine Chidgey. And the last book I read was The First Ladies, and this is by Marie Benedict. Marie Benedict has written a number of books, and all her books are about women and how they've been overlooked in centuries past, achievements that they've made that have been overlooked because they're not supposed to make achievements. And it's men that have got the kudos numerous times, Pierre Curie and so on. And this one is about The First Ladies by Marie Benedict. It's a fascinating look at Eleanor Roosevelt's relationship with key black American female leader, Mary McLeod Bethune, and the things that they achieved together for the black community. Racism was rife. This is back in the 20s and 30s and 40s, spanning those periods in history in America, where racism was just incredibly entrenched. However, they might believe that Lincoln freed the slaves. That's a big thing. Fascinating thing to me back in those days was that that the black American Negroes, that they were called in those days, were all Republicans, because of course Lincoln was the founder of the Republican Party, and it was Lincoln that freed the slaves. So it took these two key figures, women, to change the black population's notion, take them away from republicanism to democracy, to the democratic parties. And of course Eleanor Roosevelt was a Democrat, and Mary McLeod Bethune was actually a Republican. So fascinating when those two got together and what they achieved. It's a lovely, lovely book. It's The First Ladies by Marie Benedict. And I've read a number of Marie Benedict's books, and they're all just fabulous and really, really interesting. So that's her particular style of writing. And this one was it was interesting because it was taken from two different viewpoints. You would get a chapter on Eleanor Roosevelt and how she saw how things were happening, and then you get another chapter focused from Marie McLeod Bethune's point of view. And that was lovely how they would go back and forth like that. Lovely book. Anyway, I'm waffling on. The book I'm reading at the moment is Profiles in Ignorance. This is by Andy Borowitz. I saw an article on YouTube the other day. Andy Borowitz was talking, and he's a fascinating character. And he's written this book about America and how, I guess it's the growth of ignorance, if you like to think of it in those terms, and what it has meant for America. I mean, whether you're political or not, you've got to believe that a character like Trump is totally a different move away from traditional politics in the American establishment. And this is explains how a character like Trump was able to rise to the top. And it talks a lot about America and the ignorance of Americans, and it's a fascinating read. Well, I've scanned through it and I'm excited to read Profiles in Ignorance. So that's my next book that I'm just about to start. I just finished The First Ladies today, in fact, and I'm picking up Profiles in Ignorance to start reading today. All right, so that's all I have time for at the moment. That's me for another month. I'm Steve Lillyston. This was Our Library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by the libraries all around Wairarapa, to let you know about some of the new books, programs and services and so on that are being introduced into the libraries in the coming months. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the show. Please tune in again to our next broadcast of Our Library, which will be on Friday the 15th of December at 2:30 on Arrow 92.7 FM, your community access radio channel, and Wairarapa TV on Freeview channel 41. Until then, happy reading. Bye-bye.